Welcome back, everybody, to the LPL. We are rocking through this series as we're going to jump straight into game number 3. It is currently live, and I believe we're going to be able to catch up to the actual live feed. I'm Munchables. I'm joined by Nymaera, as RA have managed to even it up against LGD, but I do think LGD holding on against a 10k gold deficit, looking like the better team. Although they're in a 3v2, it's a 1-for-1. Both AD carries getting kills. Absolute carnage.
Oh, I love these teams. I love the LPL. This was the very first matchup I had the pleasure of casting in the LPL when I joined in spring this year, and it was a 3-game series back then. It was a bit different from this series, though. I think this one's probably a lot closer, especially going into game 3. Feels like both these teams really giving as good as they get.
They certainly have been. As Boots picked up for Envyy, an extra longsword for Assum. And it's all before the minion waves, so neither AD carry gets an advantage in terms of the minions, in terms of all of that good stuff. I didn't see who got first blood, which that's the gold lead right now, 100 gold for the first blood.
Well, turns out having an extra stun bot on your side at level 1 to do that 2-man stun is really, really OP. So Haichao gets involved early on. First blood did go over to Rare Adam's bot lane. Assum does blow the cleanse though, Envyy gets to keep his.
Right, so Assum just charges it. He's like, look, I ain't getting out of this one. I'll at least get a kill for myself. And the W at level 1, in that kind of fight, really massive value for Assum. Getting the bonus damage on those autos as well as the attack speed. Fantastic little steroid for him to use. As Haichao getting absolutely destroyed as Strive hits level 2 first.
Also, when you go into the Annie matchup, bone plating really good in that matchup. Strive takes the hard level 1. Make sure he can out-trade Haichao at that point, especially since Haichao went towards that bot lane and started with that AoE stun instead of the point and click.
All right, Envyy and Haichao, JinJiao, sorry, moving backwards. And I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out. I feel like we need to take a second to look at these drafts, although he's very standard anyway. Malphite coming out from Xiaoxu. But still, we're going to see kind of late game team fight compositions. Feather going in onto Envyy. He has to flash under his tower. Will survive, but Strive now forced to flash in the mid lane as well.
Avoids the stun from Haichao. Meteor making his presence known just about. Back onto that Sejuani. Means that there is the chance of top lane ganks, melee synergy. Gonna walk into Leyan. Isolated for now, but Haichao was on his way.
Yeah, Leyan gets out. You cannot underestimate the early game power of a Sejuani. Like, even though it's a tank, I feel like a lot of people don't think of Sejuani as an aggressive jungler, but you can solo kill many champions on Sejuani. Leyan moving in for the dive. He's not even needed as Envyy almost goes down, but Feather's gone too deep again! They've done it again! Assum just about gets out with his life, but Envyy got the kill onto Feather, so really, is it worth it?
And it's not like you can shove another wave into tower to deny that from Envyy. Envyy getting a lot of early gold, has a cull as well. It's not like he's necessarily getting punished for that. He's still picking up these early fights, picking up these early kills.
I feel like JinJiao and Envyy at this point are like, we don't have to make plays in the bottom side. We just stand on the tower, they'll run at us. And we'll just kill them. Like, just auto whoever takes the tower, and we'll get a couple of kills for ourselves. That feels the way this series has gone. And the fact that it's happening multiple times in the series is not ideal.
It's a little distressing, not gonna lie. It's something like, guys, can we not do this for one game? Can we give ourselves a break in the early game? Not to be, though. Focusing on this top lane is fearness, of course. With that K'Sante this time, Xiaoxu, what a game he had on the K'Sante just before this. Has himself the Malphite this time, which will be able to threaten the Aphelios in a way that Xayah, of course, could disengage, worship against a similar kind of a disengage. Envyy needs to position very well in team fights.
See fearness, trying to step forwards here, Xiaoxu, knocked back. And we'll see how this one's going to pan out. No Kindred to look at in the early game. No stacks to count this time around. I'm looking towards Strive and Haichao though. Strive getting some really good charms in the previous game. I feel like for both sides of this matchup, we've seen really good Ahri play, not so great Annie play. So hoping for a little bit more out from Haichao on the Annie this time around. It's a pick that can find absolutely massive value, but just sometimes Doesn't feel like it sticks.
I mean, we have Knight in the league. You just look at his games on the champion. Actually, both sides of this matchup, in fairness, if you look at his Annie play, he's probably the best Annie in the world. I think he's proven that at this point. Can solo win fights with engages, solo win games with flanks, and also having the ability to pin the Ahri in lane. You're meant to be able to do that as the Annie versus the Ahri. I think in this case, though, Strive did a great level 1 to outtrade Haichao, making sure that he can be still having presence in lane.
So he can be. Drake is up onto the map, though. Both junglers hanging around at the bottom side here. Strive going to forego a minion wave in that mid lane to try and punish LGD. Meteor's here. He's spotted Leyan. Strive hasn't been spotted yet, but Feather down low, as is JinJiao and Assum. No, Feather gets the kill as Envyy forced back by Leyan, but trades fairly evenly as he manages to get some autos down, and Meteor arrives for the 2v3. Calibrum there to get a bonus auto in, and now up to the top side as the all-out comes out from fearness. But Xiaoxu going to use the unstoppable force to get himself out of dodge.
The ghost blown from fearness as well. A little bit awkward from the top laner of LGD, but Rare Assum get themselves something finally in that bot lane 2v2. It's been a couple of missed grand entrances from Feather. On the third time of asking, manages to lock up JinJiao for a kill. Meteor returns back to the scene of the crime, though.
Meteor wants a little bit more. Envyy being threatened as Feather tries to find him. The knockup is there, and Feather gets another kill for himself. JinJiao, though, on the Lulu, wants to clean things up, gets Assum. Can't find Feather as well, flashes away, and Leyan actually can't punish him.
Blows the flash at least, but JinJiao, Giga Chad taking down Assum, and now he's going to die.
What are you doing?
He didn't realize Haichao was roaming.
Look at the supports, man. Feather 3-1 and 2, JinJiao 2-2 and 2. They are slaying this game.
Somewhere out there, Doa is shaking his hands at the sky, ruining that he's not here for the supportal combat. Supports reign supreme in the bot lane.
Yeah, this is a weird old game to finish out our series 5-4. Absolute carnage at the bottom side. I feel like both junglers have just forgotten that they even have camps.
What do you mean? Those things have feathers in the bot lane. Oh, that's Sire and Rakan. They've got to be the expert camps. We'll deal with that one. Meteor manages to get a really good angle, but I think basically there's such a disconnect between the minute timings of when a jungler is coming into the lane, where both bot lanes think that their jungler is going to be there in time for the play, and they're not quite there in time, so all-in happens. The grand entrance comes through, and Leyan just somehow, in the chaos of all this, just loses track of where Haichao is, and luckily doesn't give gold over to the Annie. Does mean that at least Strive gets to push away with turret in mid lane.
And I feel like you see the moment where he saw Haichao on the ward and he was like,
oops.
I've stepped too far. Tries to go into the tower to at least get a kill. Herald going to be a 50-50 and RA just stroll in and take it. Cheers, LGD. Appreciate the leash on that one.
Oh, man. And considering LGD have looked so good in this series for large stretches of time, despite the rancid early game from Game 2, it looks like they're kind of falling into a really awkward point now. Herald's gone over to Leyan. You've got a load of gold going over to the Zyrakan, which you don't really want to deal with. LGD came out with a stunning Game 1, and it might look quite difficult in this Game 3 yet again.
Yeah, this is also just such a strange game. The way that this has all been playing out has been odd. The answer, because we've got very used to it being extremely slow games. And I keep on, like, in my head, I keep mixing up which team's which because I'm so used to Assum being on LGD after the last split. Speaking of Assum, almost getting one-shot by Haichao. Feather fleeing with the quickness. LGD will grab themselves a Drake here. Good little pick there by Haichao. Even if he doesn't get the kill, buys the space for his team to do the Drake.
Yeah, very important. Doesn't have to blow his flash for it either, importantly. If you blew that, maybe you'd want to get a bit more out of it. But it gives you that first dragon of the game. You have double tanks. Cassante scales off of his resist as well. So, important pickup for LGD, and important at this point because they were, as we were saying, finding themselves into a bit of a difficult situation. Herald picked up via Leyan. This is the pick which, of course, came out just before that. Good blowing of the cleanse there onto Assum as well. Probably just a bit ambitious of him to take that route towards the dragon.
So, 500 gold lead. Not the biggest ever, but you know, RA struggled to win with a 10k gold lead in the previous game. So as far as I'm concerned, right now, LGD are 10k gold up, which is, or 9.5k gold up. Very, very impressive stuff. coming out from LGD.
It's 1,000 gold lead per minute. It's a 10,000 gold lead.
Feather and Assum could be in trouble here. The wave is pushing out against them. Meteor waiting in the wings, but looks like there will be no pushing. Envyy just clears that one with the Infernum and the Severum. And Assum will have to just answer in kind with his feathers. So we end up in a neutral lane once again. Let's talk sort of early to mid-game then. What's the game plan for these two teams? Because we've got a Herald here for Leyan. I think he'd love to drop that bot, but whether or not he can is a different question.
Can you tell what item I'm going to talk about in inventory as well? Because it's that Umbral Glaive, which is also in Leyan's hands as well. Because that vision controls the next stage of the game for Rare Atom. Choke out the game once again, look for the Rakan, the Malphite coming out of Fog of War, and catching out someone like the very low escape Annie and Aphelios out of position. That's the game plan for Rare Atom. On the other side, LGD, they kind of want to keep as many people on vision as possible. Important clearing of a ward here. That could have been a fearness teleport ward. Does mean, though, that Rare Atom can't get the plates from that tower.
No. So, Leyan will get 1 plate's worth of gold, but not really as much as you would have wanted from the Herald. But considering you just snagged the Herald by the skin of your teeth anyway, I think you'll take the, that's like 500 not gold you got from it. From the initial Herald take is 300, plus the 175. Not too bad. Ward in the brush, though. They're all spotted out. Meteor knows everything that's going on. And I feel like the two teams are now, like, reading each other. They're like, okay, there's a bit of respect going back and forth after how chaotic the first couple of minutes were. We're now seeing that they're kind of matching each other, not necessarily just brute forcing the fights in the same way. As Feather could be stunned here, but goes for the quickness himself. Meteor has to flash away. Might just go down before the fight can really even kick off on the side of LGD. It's a kill. This one actually going over to Assum, as Envyy dodges the feathers, and Assum going toe-to-toe. The AD carries just trading auto attacks. Moonlight Vigil pops the Feather Storm. Gets a bit of damage onto Leyan, though.
Wants to avoid that empowered mark from the Calibrum ultimate. Strive was first on the roam. Envyy and JinJiao knew that they had to clear out that wave, had to stand and fight, otherwise Dive was likely to come in. They get away with that one, luckily. Meteor not quite so lucky. And this is going to be a very difficult scenario now for LGD. They've lost another fight to RA. That Herald, of course, putting them under pressure. And this is going to start rolling into the fact that Strive and Leyan and Feather can, with the advantages they're building up, move out onto the map, starve them with that vision, and make these fights happen more frequently.
They'll certainly be looking for those fights. I love how many kills the bot laners have. 3 and 3 for RA, 2 and 2 for LGD. As Meteor just kind of caught out of position here, not expecting Leyan to move over.
No, definitely not. Strive was on the roam as well. It was always going to be a very difficult scenario. Keeps Envyy on the turret as well, which is a good scenario for Rare Atom. They're going to start moving towards this mid lane, though. Feather turns up, clears out some wards. And of course, Assum joining the Nymaera as well. Looks like we're changing our lane assignments just about.
Yeah, swapping around a little bit. Assum moves to that mid lane. Did get 3 plates for himself in the bottom lane. Would love to transition that elsewhere, but he's got 11 seconds to do it. I don't think he's getting any more plates this game. So recall comes out. No, fearness cancels it last second. Perhaps trying to bait Xiaoxu into recalling, but did not work if that was the plan. Xiaoxu seems to just have perma prio in the top side.
And Xiaoxu's been playing really well this series just individually as well. Played some very good games on the Cassante, coming out now with that Malphite. Need to see what he can do when it comes to those team fights. Only seen one ultimate really, it was the defensive one. He's left top lane though with that priority you mentioned. And Envyy does have flash, but doesn't exactly help if you don't press it in time for Malphite to come out of Fog of War.
Yeah, that Malphite is going to be scary. Xiaoxu, you say level 11. Do not want to be caught by him. And considering a lot of this series has been, can you get on Envyy? Can you get on Assum? Like, having a Malphite on your team definitely helps with that win condition. Envyy is going to be tested. We talked about him being the new addition, not just to LGD, but to the LPL as well. This is his first split here, coming over from Korea. We'll have to see if his fingers are up to the test, because Xiaoxu has been on it. Herald going to come down, and RA should be able to finish off their first tower of the game in trade for that Infernal Drake.
Okay, so LGD, they get themselves their objective. But now, again, vision control plan in full flight for Rare Atom. Strive going forwards, Haichao out of position.
Rocket Belt turns it into a Tibbers as well, and he can block any future charms with that Tibbers. The opposite deception is there. Will he actually survive this? Oh, the flash charm out from Strive. Answered with a flash from Haichao, and now Feather finally gets involved. Some reinforcements for Strive. Only Rakan, the champion, fast enough to keep up with an Ahri engage.
Haichao just kind of left out of position. Doesn't really catch the memo of LGD moving back towards their mid lane turret. Found out by Strive, taken down. Rare Atom. This is exactly what they need to do. Choke out that vision, play around faster map rotations, play around, get engages, and catch from Fog of War. That's exactly what they're doing. And it really does help that Rare Atom are on the same page when it comes to that. We're talking about how they've had a couple of new players in this game. Xiaoxu as well, new to the Rare Atom organization. Their first playing with a new top laner that isn't called Cube. Cube was such a good player for them in spring. With Xiaoxu making his own waves. Strive, however, he's left over from that spring split, done a very good job there for what he was worth. He leads the pick here on Twitch.
Feather having to use the quickness to just guarantee that pick, but I think fair enough. Does get you that extra bit of gold, get you that tempo on the map. 3,000 gold lead for RA at this point. And we'll see what happens next, because it does feel like this game has just been consistently heating up, right? We started pretty hot already, and both teams just permanently grouping together. Meteor and Leyan, the entire game, have been at the same spot on the map to try and answer each other. So far, feels like Leyan has been getting the best of it, or at least Leyan's team has been getting the best of these situations.
Oh, they didn't catch him again, did they? What happened? Okay, no, it's just a pick. When they saw the picture, I was like, okay, did he die again? No, just has to get chunked out a little bit. Xiaoxu put under turret.
I'm surprised fearness didn't all out there, to be honest, once he already had him under turret. But I suppose he would just all out himself, so perhaps saving that for a future situation. Because the thing is, if Feather shows up as well, you can... Oh, no. Oh, no. Fearness, you are in deep doo-doo, my friend.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
We are here, gathered today, to actually celebrate the survival of Fearness, as the dive doesn't come in time. Just about gets away with that one.
Yeah, that felt very scary for a moment there, but the players called off. LGD, they saw everyone going across the Scuttle Crab, so he'll get out with his life. And he'll also deny the recall from Xiaoxu. Although he's only just broken the shield, I'm not sure he would have actually denied it. There's the ult out from Xiaoxu, but the whole team is here from LGD. I don't think he can escape. Flash comes on through, the TP is here, the stuns connect. And now Meteor looks for more onto Strive as well. Fearness with a bit of damage, but dashes out. Doesn't overforce it. LGD, 5 strong at the bottom side of the map, but Drake isn't up right now. Just going to be the pick onto Malphite.
It is just that one pick, though. I mean, you've committed a teleport for that. You committed a couple of ultimates. It's something. It helps. It will help you maintain some pressure in that side lane, but it's not the largest win for it. Now, suddenly, you've got 2 minutes until the Baron spawns. We talked about how that was very, very important. LGD without a couple of key summoners potentially for that, particularly that teleport from Haichao, if you were to make a big flank play later on.
Yeah. So LGD, at least they get a bit of gold. At least they punish Xiaoxu for having such a good series so far. Get a bit of vengeance for Fearness, who I think as well just sending a message of, look, if you're going to try and send 4 bot to deal with Fearness, then we're going to punish you instead. Speaking of Fearness, though, gets a moment of reprieve up on the top side, but Xiaoxu arrives and he decides he can't really commit to anything.
Not just yet. So, we are actually seeing the Duskblade coming out of Leyan. It's not going to be that Yomu's Ghostblade. It's a bit more about the invisibility, a little bit more about the tricksiness.
Not even invisibility, invincibility now. I hate the new version.
You know, I actually haven't played the new Duskblade yet, so I didn't quite clock that. That's ridiculous. What?
It's horrible. I absolutely hate it. When there's a... I've seen Yeez go Duskblade. My God, there's just no stopping them. Between the Qs and the invincibility, like what can you do? Here we go, Fearness behind the plate. Strive could just get all out in here. And there we go. He's on the wrong side of the plate. He's ulting towards the whole team of LGD. He's going to try and buy space. Drake is spawning. His team should just go for Drake right now, but he won't get away with anything. Can they finish the Drake in time? Meteor's here, though. RA surely just have to back away. Meteor's going to force Leyan over the wall. And LGD, a great pick. Strive really overplaying his hand. really overestimating how much presence he had. That's the whole point.
I mean, like, if I had $1 for every time I saw a solo laner from Rare Adam get taken over that wall by fearness, I'd have $2. Which isn't that much, but it's really strange that it happened twice in, like, 2 minutes. fearness really getting away with some of those plays at that point. Strive, I just don't think he sees it. Of course, it's on the vision ward, it's not on the control ward, so you don't see that teleport channel in Fog of War. Just doesn't have his eyes behind him, doesn't ult out in time. fearness takes him to town.
So alright, they've decided to just go for the Baron, and they're going to be rewarded with the Baron. And LGD, they did that to RA in game 1 of this series, and now it's happened to them as well. I guess it can happen to anyone if you are LGD or RA. I don't know how they didn't see that coming, but there was a control ward when they started it.
I mean, we had a bit of a conversation about object permanence in a couple of these games. If you don't see it directly on your screen, sometimes it just blissfully slips out of your mind.
I wish
LGD...
we could have seen the setup for that, though. Like, we were in a replay, so I wonder what on earth happened, because, you know, we didn't actually get to see how RA started it. Okay,
look, gonna throw this out there. There are pro views for LPL pro players. I can't go check it right now. I might check that afterwards to see exactly what happened, because LGD, they just had a pretty important victory. They'd won in that side lane a number of times, but look, giving up that Baron, that's really annoying now. Again, particularly because RA are a vision control denial team. Baron helps you push in and achieve exactly that. LGD, that's a bad mistake to make.
Certainly is. Strive trying to pressure in the bottom side while the rest of the team moves into the mid lane, and RA with the Baron in their pocket. This is feeling pretty good for RA. This is feeling like they could push for more as well. Still, a minute and a half on the Baron. We're 22 minutes in, but it's feeling like RA are really putting the pressure on, and that's a charm onto Haichao. This could be a huge pick. With Baron in pocket, a pick onto LGD would be massive, but they won't find more. Meteor dives forward, but whiffs on the ultimate. And RA can keep this going.
They can. That's a big ultimate miss from Meteor. LGD really struggling to land engages when it really counts, and LGD really struggling to land a second game win when it counts as well. First game looked so good. Second, they had a glimpse of hope, but in this third one, it has felt... it's been a brawl, but it has felt like it's been out of their hands. LGD, sadly for them, looking like they're heading towards a 0-5 if this keeps up.
Yeah, it's looking that way. And wow, LGD, another series where it starts really good, it starts fantastic, but they start to fall behind, and it's like you said against JDG, winning game number 1, but in the longer series couldn't finish things off. And now Feather, a 3-person find, can't turn into anything more.
Not just yet. Xiaoxu pushing in topside, no teleport, has that ultimate, roaming his way down towards this middle lane. LGD feels like one more fight is all they have in them. If you give up one more fight, despite the fact that they're on this soul, they are so hemmed into their own side of the map. Xiaoxu has an angle.
Meteor is going to be here. Strive looking for Envyy over the wall. Dives in. There's Xiaoxu as well. It's absolute carnage as Envyy is cut to pieces. And RA, the solo laners, one from either side, find their way in the mid lane.
It's the combo we saw win them the game in that second one. Rare Atom. It's been a fight for them, but Strive and Xiaoxu lead from the front, and looks like they're going in towards the base.
And RA making their way towards the middle of the table here. If they can try and force an end, I don't know if they can actually, to be honest. 15 seconds on either carry, they might have to back away from this one.
It's a little bit awkward. I suppose with Envyy and Haichao respawning soon, they don't feel bold enough to do so. I was just wondering, with only the low-range frontliners involved, potentially it could have been a bit of a force for that end. Not going to be the case, though. Now with a minute on Dragon, Rare Atom, they can reset, get themselves back out onto the map for what could be Soul Point, or the Soul for LGD. Would like to not give them that. That could be a glimpse of hope for them.
Certainly could. They need to win this fight, though. They're pretty behind at this stage. There's Meteor kind of getting caught out a little bit, but Xiaoxu is really the hero of the play.
Love to see it. A lot of these Malphite ults, they look even better because they've been set up for an advance. Strive walks in, puts people on edge, means that he gets a much easier time to go for that angle. Xiaoxu again has his ult coming up. Let's see what we can do with it.
Fearness charms. The Everfrost is there, the knockup is there, but he is playing Cassante, so he'll be A-okay. And look at the damage we've done, 700 per strike. Huge numbers here in the team fight. Oh, the charm is gorgeous. And that's another few picks. Look at this. Into the meat grinder they go. Envyy trying to spy, but Leyan cuts him into pieces. And fearness finds himself alone. Xiaoxu going to try and chase him down, but it will not matter because the mid lane is already wide open. All they need to do is deny the recall from fearness, and they will win the game. You can see elation on the faces of the RA players as it's just another day at the office. 2-2 now for RA, and it wasn't the most confident win I've ever seen on my screen, but managing to find themselves a win regardless, managing to find themselves this and put themselves even on the scoreboard here in the LPL.
It's a bit rocky. It's going to be particularly some macro worries for RA to kind of work themselves through. I think particularly in Game 2, they weren't playing to their strengths of their composition to close out the game. They just about get away with it. They'll be lucky to walk away with this win. Sadly, LGD not found a single series win just yet. They are better than a 0-5 team. You have to feel that. But at the end of the day, scores on the doors aren't painting a prettier picture.
It's, I don't know, like, the fact that they are 0-5, with these series being as close as they are, is just heartbreaking, isn't it? I can't imagine how disheartening that is for the players on LGD. Like, just a single win here, a single extra win at least. They did get a single win.
Yeah.
A win here in this series could have turned things around.